The sun dipped low over Charleston, casting a warm golden hue across the cobblestone streets. I often found myself lost in thought as I walked home from work, the familiar sights of the historic district both comforting and suffocating. The antebellum homes stood like sentinels, their shutters painted in pastel colors, whispering tales of a bygone era. Yet, as I passed them, I felt more like a ghost haunting my own life than a participant in its unfolding drama. My marriage to David had settled into a predictable rhythm. We shared a comfortable home, 2 grown children who rarely visited, and the kind of love that had dulled into companionship rather than passion. Each day blended into the next, morning coffee brewed with the same routine, evenings spent in front of the television, and weekends filled with chores. The excitement of our early years had faded, replaced by an all-consuming monotony that left me yearning for something more. At work, I moved through my tasks with an air of detachment. My colleagues were friendly enough. We exchanged pleasantries at the water cooler and shared laughs during meetings. But there was one colleague who stirred something within me, a spark that had long been extinguished. Mark was David's coworker, a man whose presence seemed to radiate warmth and vitality. He was younger than David by nearly 10 years but carried himself with an ease that made him approachable and intriguing. Our paths crossed often during corporate events, those obligatory gatherings designed to foster camaraderie but usually felt like an extension of the office drudgery. Yet amidst the forced conversations and polite laughter, I began to notice Mark's lingering glances and subtle smiles directed my way. Each time our eyes met, I felt a flutter deep within me, a sensation that had become foreign over the years. One evening at a company gala held at a local waterfront venue, I caught sight of Mark across the room. The soft glow of string lights reflected off his dark hair as he chatted animatedly with others. For a moment, my heart raced as if it recognized an unspoken connection between us. The music played softly in the background while laughter filled the air. It was festive yet tinged with an undercurrent of something deeper. David was engrossed in conversation with his boss at one end of the room when I slipped away for a moment to catch my breath on the balcony overlooking the water. The salty breeze tousled my hair as I leaned against the railing. Just then, Mark stepped outside, his expression shifting from joviality to concern upon seeing me alone. "Hey there," he said casually, leaning against the railing beside me. "You all right?" I nodded but felt my throat tighten slightly as our gazes locked for what felt like an eternity. "Just needed some fresh air," I replied, trying to keep my tone light. He turned his head toward me fully now, his brown eyes searching mine as if trying to unravel some hidden truth behind my facade. "You don't seem like yourself tonight." A wave of vulnerability washed over me at his words. Someone had noticed my discontent amidst all this pretense. "It's just, life can feel so monotonous sometimes," I admitted before I could stop myself. Mark's expression softened as he considered my words carefully before responding. "I get that more than you know." His honesty struck me deeply. It echoed sentiments I had buried beneath layers of complacency for far too long. As we stood there exchanging thoughts about our lives, his recent struggles at work and my longing for excitement, I felt an undeniable pull toward him. The world around us faded away until it was just Mark and me under that vast Charleston sky. "I've always thought you were different," he confessed quietly after a pause that seemed to stretch on forever. His admission sent shockwaves through me. Did he truly mean it? Before I could formulate a response or consider any consequences, Mark leaned closer, our lips barely inches apart, and suddenly everything shifted again, reality blurred into possibility. Just then, David appeared on the balcony behind us with furrowed brows. A shadow cast over our moment by his unexpected arrival shattered whatever fragile connection we'd built in those few stolen seconds. "What's going on here?" David's voice cut through like ice. I took a step back instinctively while Mark straightened up beside me as if caught in some illicit act. Not that anything had actually happened yet, but tension hung thick in the air between us now. "Nothing," I stammered out quickly before forcing a smile onto my face that felt utterly false even to myself. Just chatting. David's gaze flickered between us suspiciously before he shrugged it off with feigned indifference, a mask he wore well after years spent together navigating life's complexities side by side without truly seeing one another anymore. As we returned inside, where laughter rang louder than ever amidst clinking glasses and cheerful chatter filling every corner of this lavish event space adorned with floral arrangements, the weight of choice loomed heavily over me like storm clouds gathering on horizon promising rain but holding back for now, an impending downpour waiting just beyond reach yet already threatening everything familiar around us if unleashed too soon. The music pulsed through the air, a steady rhythm that matched the quickening beat of my heart. As I stood in the crowded room, I could feel the tension in my chest, a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. The corporate event buzzed around me, a blur of brightly colored dresses and tailored suits. I spotted Mark across the room, his easy smile drawing me in like a moth to a flame. I had never thought I would seek refuge in these gatherings. But here I was, using them as an escape from my monotonous life. Each event became a small adventure, each conversation a distraction from the weight of my reality. Tonight was no different. I was ready to lose myself for just a few hours. As the night wore on, I found myself gravitating toward Mark. He stood by the bar, his presence magnetic against the backdrop of clinking glasses and laughter. When our eyes met, there was an unspoken connection that seemed to pull us closer together. "Jessica," he greeted me with that familiar warmth in his voice. "You look lovely tonight." "Thank you," I replied, trying to keep my tone light despite the flutter in my stomach. We began to talk about work, our shared projects and mutual colleagues, but soon our conversation shifted to more personal topics. Mark spoke about his recent travels, his eyes lighting up as he recounted stories from distant places. I listened intently, captivated not just by his words but by the passion behind them. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "life is too short to be stuck in one place." His gaze held mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. His words resonated deeply within me. Wasn't that exactly what I had been feeling? The suffocating routine of my marriage had dulled my spirit. It felt like I was merely existing rather than truly living. And here was Mark, embodying everything vibrant and alive. As we continued talking, laughter erupted around us as someone told a joke nearby. In that moment of shared joy, something shifted between us, a spark ignited by our mutual longing for something beyond what we knew. Then it happened, the moment that changed everything between us. In a fleeting instant filled with uncertainty and desire, we kissed. It was brief yet electric. Time seemed to freeze as reality blurred around us. My mind raced with conflicting thoughts. What had just happened? What did this mean? The kiss lingered on my lips as I stepped back slightly, heart pounding in my chest like thunder rolling through the night sky. The exhilaration mixed with fear left me breathless. "Wow," Mark breathed out, his expression reflecting both surprise and thrill. "I shouldn't have," the words stumbled out before I could catch them. "Maybe we both needed that," he replied softly. I glanced around nervously. No one seemed to have noticed our moment amidst the festivities swirling around us. But internally, chaos reigned supreme as guilt crept in like an unwelcome guest at a party. We spent more time together throughout the evening, each laugh and shared glance deepening an already complicated connection between us. Yet beneath it all lay an undercurrent of anxiety. What did this mean for me? For David? As the night came to a close and guests began to filter out into the cool Charleston air outside, reality crashed back down on me like waves against rocky shores. My heart raced not just from excitement but from fear of what lay ahead. The choices before me felt heavier than ever. "Are you okay?" Mark asked gently as we stepped outside into the night air filled with salty breezes and distant sounds of laughter fading away. "I'm just processing everything," I admitted honestly while wrapping my arms around myself against the coolness enveloping us both. He nodded knowingly as if he understood the weight of what had transpired between us, between him and me, and how it would change everything moving forward. "I don't want you to feel pressured," he said quietly after a moment's pause filled only by distant music echoing through Charleston's streets. "But if you want, we can explore this further." His words hung heavy in the air between us, a promise wrapped in uncertainty and desire mingled with dread. "I just need some time," I managed finally after what felt like an eternity, searching for clarity amidst confusion swirling inside me like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. Mark nodded again without pushing further. He respected my need for space while simultaneously igniting hope within me, a flicker of possibility amidst darkness threatening to engulf everything familiar around us. As we parted ways that night, I headed home with David waiting patiently at our doorstep. My heart remained torn between two worlds, one grounded in comfort yet stiflingly mundane, another ablaze with passion yet fraught with perilous consequences lurking just beneath surface calmness, waiting patiently for their moment to strike. The door creaked open slowly as if sensing my hesitation before revealing David's warm smile, a sight so familiar yet now tinged with shadows lurking just beyond reach, threatening everything sacred between us both without warning or mercy when least expected. "Did you have fun?" he asked casually while taking off his shoes, an innocent question masking deeper currents running beneath our lives together, now forever altered by choices made during fleeting moments shared under shimmering lights illuminating paths once thought clear yet now obscured by uncertainty looming large ahead like storm clouds gathering ominously on horizon, promising rain but holding back for now. As David settled into the couch, I felt the weight of his gaze linger on me. I offered a half-hearted smile, trying to mask the whirlwind of emotions churning within. The evening had left me exhilarated yet profoundly unsettled. I busied myself in the kitchen, pouring 2 glasses of wine, hoping it would ease the tension that now filled our home like a thick fog. "Long day?" he asked, taking a sip from his glass. His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it that hinted at something unspoken. "Just the usual," I replied, forcing a lightness into my tone. "You know how it is." He nodded, but his eyes searched mine for something more, an answer to a question neither of us dared to voice. The silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. In that moment, memories of my encounter with Mark flooded my mind, the laughter we shared, the thrill of our stolen moments together. My heart raced at the thought of him. The next few days passed in a blur. Each corporate event became an opportunity for Mark and me to navigate our growing connection under the guise of professionalism. We exchanged knowing glances across crowded rooms, whispered jokes during presentations. Each interaction felt electric yet laden with guilt. One afternoon, while preparing for another office gathering, I overheard Mark speaking with a colleague in hushed tones just outside my office door. "It's been tough since the divorce," he admitted, his voice laced with vulnerability. "I didn't expect it to hit me this hard." I paused, leaning against my desk as I listened intently. The revelation struck me like lightning. Beneath his confident exterior lay a man grappling with pain and loss, a kindred spirit in many ways. "I thought I'd be free," he continued, "but sometimes you realize how much you miss companionship." In that moment, everything shifted within me. My heart ached not only for my own unfulfilled desires but also for his struggles. His honesty resonated deep within me. I stepped out from behind my door and approached him. "Hey," I said softly. Mark turned to me, surprise flickering across his features before he quickly masked it with a smile. "Jessica. Didn't see you there." "Sounds like you're going through a lot," I said gently. He shrugged but couldn't hide the weariness etched on his face. "Just trying to figure things out." Our conversation flowed effortlessly from there. We discussed everything from work pressures to personal dreams long buried beneath layers of routine and expectation. As we spoke, our connection deepened further, the laughter came easily again as if we were two old friends rediscovering each other after years apart. And then it happened. Our lips met in an unexpected moment that felt both thrilling and terrifying all at once. The world around us faded as if time itself had paused to allow this fleeting instant between us, an affirmation of what had been building beneath the surface all along. Yet as quickly as it began, reality rushed back in like cold water splashing over heated skin. Guilt surged within me like an unwelcome tide. What had I done? How could I betray David like this? My heart raced with panic as Mark pulled away slightly, uncertainty clouding his expression. I shouldn't have, he started but didn't finish as silence enveloped us once more. I need time, I managed to say finally before retreating back into my office, a sanctuary now tainted by confusion and desire. The following days were fraught with internal conflict. Every encounter with Mark felt charged yet laced with an undercurrent of dread about what lay ahead. Each corporate event became increasingly difficult to navigate as whispers of our shared kiss echoed in my mind like an unwanted refrain, a reminder that choices made could never be unmade. At home, David's presence became even more pronounced. He tried harder than ever to engage me in conversation or plan small outings together, his attempts at normalcy contrasting starkly against my spiraling thoughts about Mark and what could be if only circumstances were different. One evening while preparing dinner together, a mundane task that once brought us comfort, I caught sight of David's reflection in the window behind him, the flicker of candlelight illuminating features so familiar yet distant now amidst this growing chasm between us both. You seem distracted lately, he remarked casually while chopping vegetables, his tone light but tinged with concern. I'm fine, I replied too quickly, a defensive instinct kicking in before I could stop myself. He paused briefly before continuing chopping without saying another word, but the silence stretched uncomfortably between us again as if we were both aware of something unsaid lingering just out of reach. Days turned into weeks filled with stolen moments where passion clashed violently against loyalty, and still those moments spent together left me feeling alive yet conflicted about everything unraveling around me like threads coming loose from a frayed tapestry woven over years past. Then came the weekend trip planned by our company, a coastal retreat meant for team-building exercises intended to strengthen bonds among colleagues while providing much-needed respite from daily grind. But all I could think about was how this trip might offer another chance for deeper intimacy between Mark and myself amid sun-soaked beaches and salty breezes promising liberation from constraints binding us tightly together. As we arrived at our destination, an idyllic beachfront property nestled among palm trees swaying gently against azure skies, I felt excitement bubbling within alongside anxiety gnawing at my insides like restless waves crashing against rocky shores nearby. I watched Mark interact effortlessly with others during group activities throughout our first day together. The way he laughed easily among friends made my heart flutter despite lingering doubts shadowing every glance exchanged between us. But when night fell upon us, the stars twinkling overhead like diamonds scattered across velvet fabric, I found myself drawn towards him away from prying eyes into quieter corners where secrets could be whispered without fear or shame. We wandered down towards the beach where moonlight danced upon gentle waves lapping rhythmically against sands beneath our feet, a serene escape beckoning promises untold. And then suddenly storm clouds loomed on horizon threatening rain just as tension crackled between us, the air thickening with anticipation until nature erupted around us forcing shelter-seeking bodies closer than ever imagined possible. In those moments spent huddled together beneath sheltering palms, we shared stories long buried deep within hearts yearning for connection beyond mere physicality. The storm raged outside while inside hearts beat wildly against one another's rhythm, a dance neither expected nor planned but one that felt irresistibly right amid chaos swirling all around. As dawn broke across horizon painting skies orange and pink, I faced an emotional reckoning about who truly mattered most amidst choices laid bare before me. I stood torn between two worlds, one steeped in comfort yet stifling routine, and another bursting forth vibrantly alive full potential waiting just beyond reach. What would happen next? Would love triumph over loyalty? Or would fear bind me forevermore? As the sun climbed higher, casting golden rays into the room, I lay there, the weight of my choices pressing down on me. Mark was still asleep beside me, his presence both comforting and disconcerting. The ocean's rhythmic waves echoed in my mind, a reminder of the tumultuous emotions swirling within me. I stared at the ceiling, grappling with the implications of what had just transpired. We spent the night together, and in those quiet hours, I had tasted a freedom I hadn't known I craved. Yet now, as morning light flooded the space between us, clarity eluded me. My heart raced with uncertainty. What did this mean for my life back home? For my husband? I slipped out of bed quietly, careful not to wake him. The cool floor felt grounding beneath my feet as I padded towards the window. Outside, the world was waking up as seagulls squawked overhead while waves lapped at the shore with a soothing persistence. It was beautiful and serene, yet it felt like a stark contrast to the chaos inside me. The sound of Mark stirring behind me pulled my attention back to him. He rubbed his eyes and smiled lazily, a smile that ignited something within me but also deepened my conflict. "Good morning," he said softly. "Morning," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. "Did you sleep well?" he asked as he stretched his arms above his head. I nodded but found it hard to meet his gaze. The intimacy we shared last night felt both thrilling and heavy with consequence. I managed to say. A moment passed in comfortable silence before he broke it again. "What do you want to do today?" His voice held an easy warmth that made me want to lean into him further. But I couldn't shake off the reality waiting for me back home. The life I'd built with my husband over decades now felt like a distant memory overshadowed by this new chapter with Mark. "I need some fresh air," I finally said, needing space to think. "Let's walk along the beach then," he suggested, rising from bed and pulling on his jeans. The beach was stunning in its morning light, soft sand beneath our feet and a gentle breeze tousling our hair. As we walked side by side, an unspoken bond seemed to tether us together yet also highlighted our divergent paths ahead. "I've been thinking about last night," Mark said after a while, glancing sideways at me. "It felt different." "Different how?" I asked carefully. "Like we crossed a line that can't be uncrossed." His tone was serious now, contrasting sharply with our earlier lightness. I hesitated before responding. Part of me wanted to deny it all, to retreat back into my safe little world where nothing had changed, but another part craved honesty. "Maybe we did," I admitted quietly. His expression shifted slightly as he processed my words. "What does that mean for us?" "I don't know," I confessed as waves crashed rhythmically nearby, a sound that mirrored the turmoil inside me. "I'm married." Mark stopped walking and turned fully towards me. "And you're unhappy." It wasn't a question but a statement grounded in truth. The weight of his observation pressed heavily on my chest. How could he see so clearly through my facade? "It's complicated," I murmured. He stepped closer then, closing some of the distance between us that had begun to feel insurmountable since dawn broke. "Complicated doesn't mean impossible." As we stood there facing each other against the backdrop of crashing waves and endless sky, something shifted within me again, a flicker of hope battling against fear and guilt intertwined like vines around my heart. "I can't just walk away from everything," I said finally, feeling tears prick at the corners of my eyes despite myself. Mark reached out gently and brushed a stray hair behind my ear, a simple gesture that sent shivers down my spine even as it filled me with longing for what might be if only circumstances were different. "Then let's take our time," he suggested softly. "Figure this out together." My heart raced at his words. Part of me wanted nothing more than to embrace this new possibility while another part screamed for caution, reminding me of all that was at stake back home. "We should probably head back soon," I said reluctantly after several moments passed in silence between us, each second stretching longer than it should have amidst our unspoken tension. Mark nodded slowly but didn't move away immediately. Instead, he lingered close enough for warmth yet far enough not to overwhelm me with temptation again, not yet anyway. As we made our way back toward where we were staying, my mind swirled with thoughts about what lay ahead. My husband would be expecting an explanation for any changes in demeanor upon returning home, while Mark would undoubtedly have questions too about how we could navigate this newfound connection without losing ourselves along its winding path forward. Arriving back at our temporary shelter felt surreal. Everything around us remained unchanged while internally everything was shifting rapidly like tides pulling away from shore only to return once more stronger than before. After showering separately, each moment apart allowing time for reflection, I found myself sitting on the small balcony overlooking the ocean once more lost in thought when Mark joined me outside minutes later holding 2 cups steaming gently in his hands, offering one toward me without hesitation or expectation attached. A simple act that somehow deepened everything between us further still. "Thanks," I murmured, accepting it gratefully, feeling warmth seep through porcelain into fingertips, grounding once more amidst uncertainty surrounding who might emerge victorious from this emotional tug-of-war raging within. We sat together sipping coffee, watching clouds drift lazily overhead when suddenly dark clouds began rolling in from beyond horizon, threatening rain. A sudden storm brewing, unexpectedly changing atmosphere entirely, forcing us closer together physically while simultaneously amplifying emotional stakes surrounding choices looming ahead. "I guess we should go inside soon," Mark suggested, glancing up at sky now growing ominous above us, his voice tinged with concern over what might come next, yet holding steady resolve nonetheless, reflecting strength amidst chaos swirling outside and within. But instead of retreating indoors immediately, I hesitated, feeling drawn toward him again, wanting desperately just one more moment caught up amidst possibilities unfolding before us. "What if?" My voice trailed off as uncertainty gripped tightly around words left unsaid, while hope flickered faintly somewhere deep inside, urging courage forward against fear's threatening hold tight. "What if what?" Mark prompted gently, leaning closer, still searching eyes seeking answers hidden beneath layers carefully crafted over years spent shielding heart from pain. "What if we let ourselves explore this connection fully?" The question hung heavy between us, charged with potential yet fraught danger lurking just beyond reach, waiting patiently, readying itself for inevitable fallout sure follow. Mark studied me intently, weighing options before finally nodding slowly. An agreement forged silently, binding 2 souls together, facing tempest brewing outside, mirroring storms raging within hearts desperate find clarity amidst confusion swirling ever faster, drawing nearer toward inevitable conclusion awaiting arrival. The morning sun filtered through the curtains, casting a warm glow across the room, but it did little to brighten my mood. The events of the previous night replayed in my mind like a haunting melody, each note resonating with the weight of my choices. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. The thrill of being with Mark lingered, yet guilt gnawed at me like a persistent itch I couldn't scratch. I heard my husband moving around in the kitchen, the clatter of dishes breaking through my reverie. He was blissfully unaware of the turmoil brewing inside me. I forced myself out of bed, knowing that I had to face him and pretend everything was normal. The facade felt heavier than ever. "Good morning," he called cheerfully as I entered the kitchen. His smile was wide, genuine, a stark contrast to what I felt inside. "Morning," I replied, trying to match his enthusiasm but failing miserably. My heart raced as he poured coffee into 2 mugs. Did he sense something was off? "Big day ahead," he said, glancing at me over his shoulder. "Got that presentation this afternoon?" "Right," I muttered, taking a seat at the table. My mind drifted back to Mark and how easily we had slipped into intimacy during our time together. As we ate breakfast in silence, I noticed my husband's eyes flicker toward me occasionally. There was a hint of concern etched on his face, an awareness that something had shifted between us. The weight of his gaze made it harder to swallow my food. After breakfast, I decided to go for a walk along Waterfront Park. The salty breeze brushed against my skin as I strolled past blooming magnolias and vibrant azaleas. It should have been soothing. Instead, it only amplified my internal conflict. Each step felt heavy with the burden of secrets. I thought about how easy it had been to slip into an affair with Mark, how intoxicating it felt to be desired again after years of feeling invisible in my marriage. But guilt followed me like a shadow, reminding me that this wasn't just about passion, there were real lives at stake. As I wandered deeper into the park, a familiar voice broke through my thoughts. Jessica. Hey. It was Sarah, one of my closest friends from college days, a bright light in an otherwise gray world. Hi. I managed a smile as she approached me with her usual enthusiasm. You look different, she said, her brow furrowing slightly as she examined me closely. I chuckled nervously. Different how? I don't know, just not quite yourself. She paused before adding gently, Are you happy? Her question hit me like a wave crashing against rocks, unexpected and forceful. Happiness had become an elusive concept lately. How could I explain that to her? Instead of answering directly, I deflected with a half-hearted laugh. Oh, you know how it is, just busy with work and life. Sarah studied me for a moment longer before nodding slowly, unconvinced by my words. If something's bothering you, I'm here. The sincerity in her voice tugged at something deep within me, a reminder that honesty could lead to clarity if only I'd allow it. I appreciate that, I said softly before changing the subject awkwardly to avoid further probing questions. We chatted about mundane things, the upcoming festival in town and plans for summer vacations, but beneath our light conversation lay an undercurrent of tension that neither one of us acknowledged openly. As we parted ways, Sarah's lingering question echoed in my mind, was I truly happy? Or had I strayed so far from who I once was that happiness felt like an alien concept? Back home later that day, dinner preparations consumed most of my thoughts as they simmered away on the stove. My husband entered the kitchen just as I stirred the sauce, a routine moment turned surreal by recent events. You okay? He asked again with concern etched across his features while setting down his briefcase on the counter. Yeah, I replied too quickly before backpedaling slightly to add more conviction to my words, just tired from work. He nodded but didn't seem convinced. His expression told me he sensed something deeper lurking beneath surface-level conversations, a disconnect between us growing wider by the day. As we sat down for dinner together, 2 plates filled with pasta, I couldn't shake off Mark's presence from my mind, nor could I ignore how distant things felt between us now compared to earlier years when laughter filled our home effortlessly. Do you remember our trip to Charleston last year? He asked, suddenly breaking through silence hanging heavily over us like thick fog rolling off ocean waves during twilight hours when everything feels uncertain yet beautiful all at once. Of course, came out automatically without much thought attached, memories flooded back uninvited. The warmth shared over candlelit dinners by candlelight amidst laughter echoing throughout historic streets adorned festively during summer nights filled with music drifting through air sweetened by blooming jasmine flowers lining cobblestone paths leading towards waterfront. Views glistening under moonlight illuminating shadows cast upon our hearts yearning for connection lost somewhere along way. Amidst daily grind overshadowing romance once cherished deeply. Those were good times, he continued wistfully while gazing down at uneaten food left untouched on plates before us. A reminder perhaps too poignant about what we've lost somewhere along path taken toward routine existence now devoid passion once ignited brightly between us. Yeah, came weakly from lips betraying emotions swirling within heart desperately seeking affirmation yet unsure how express desires without risking everything built over years spent together navigating life's ups downs hand in hand. Suddenly feeling overwhelmed by weight choices looming larger than ever before, I excused myself from table feigning need fresh air outside where cool breeze greeted warmly against flushed cheeks flushed crimson with shame lingering behind every breath taken amidst uncertainty surrounding future ahead waiting patiently just beyond horizon. beckoning forth new possibilities yet fraught danger lurking within shadows cast upon soul-yearning escape comfort zone clinging tightly onto familiarity even. While longing desperately chase after fleeting moments stolen away recklessly by reckless abandon. I stepped outside onto porch overlooking garden sprawling below bathed golden hues fading slowly into dusk. Heart racing wildly pounding rhythmically against chest echoing thoughts swirling rapidly around mind wrestling fiercely between loyalty love versus thrilling excitement found only within arms held tightly around someone else entirely different from familiar embrace. Once cherished dearly now feeling increasingly distant fading quietly away. A sudden rustle caught attention nearby drawing focus towards phone vibrating incessantly resting atop table nearby beckoning forth curiosity urging glance downwards revealing name flashing brightly across screen sending shockwaves coursing through veins igniting spark. Hope mixed dread intertwining tightly together leaving no room breathe escaping briefly momentarily lost amidst whirlwind emotions threatening spiral out control spiraling downward fast approaching point no return where choices made irrevocably alter course life forever changing landscape formed choices linger long after decisions taken leaving trails behind marking paths traveled traversed seeking solace amidst chaos unfolding around. My heart raced as uncertainty loomed larger than ever before. It was Mark calling. The phone continued to vibrate, each buzz a reminder of the choices I had yet to confront. I hesitated before answering, knowing full well that Mark's voice would usher in a whirlwind of emotions I had been trying to manage. The vibrant festival around me, with its lively music and colorful stalls, felt like a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing inside. "Hey, Jessica," he said, his tone warm yet tinged with something deeper. "I didn't think you'd pick up." "I was busy," I replied, glancing around at the swirling crowd. Couples danced joyfully nearby, lost in their own worlds. "What's up?" "I was hoping we could meet up," he suggested, his voice low and inviting. "There's something I need to talk about." A rush of excitement coursed through me, battling against the guilt that had become my constant companion. "Can it wait?" I asked, trying to maintain control over my spiraling thoughts. "Not really," he said softly. "It's important." The weight of his words hung heavy in the air as I looked at my husband across the festival grounds. He was laughing with friends, blissfully unaware of the internal storm brewing within me. The contrast between our lives felt more pronounced than ever. Here was Mark, representing a world filled with possibilities and passion, while my husband embodied comfort and familiarity. "Okay," I finally agreed, feeling a mixture of dread and anticipation. "Where should we meet?" "We can go to that little cafe by the water," he suggested. "You know the one." I nodded even though he couldn't see me. The cafe was a place where we had shared stolen moments before, each visit layered with unspoken tension and unfulfilled desire. As soon as we hung up, I felt a pang of anxiety settle in my stomach. My husband approached with an armful of treats from various stalls, funnel cakes dusted with powdered sugar and cotton candy spun into clouds of sweetness. "Look what I got," he exclaimed, his eyes sparkling like a child's on Christmas morning. "Wow," I replied weakly, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. "That's great." He handed me a small box wrapped in bright paper adorned with ribbons. "Happy anniversary," he said cheerfully. My heart sank as I realized this gift was meant to celebrate our years together, a reminder of the life I had built but now felt increasingly distant from. "What is it?" I asked hesitantly as he urged me to open it right there amidst the festivities. As I peeled back the layers of wrapping paper, revealing a delicate bracelet adorned with charms symbolizing our journey together, our wedding date engraved on one, I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes. It wasn't just jewelry, it was an emblem of commitment that now seemed suffocating rather than comforting. "It's beautiful," I managed to say through a tight throat. "Just like you," he replied earnestly, wrapping an arm around my shoulders and pulling me close for a quick kiss on my temple. The warmth of his affection contrasted sharply with my inner turmoil as Mark's call echoed in my mind, an invitation into another world altogether. "I'll wear it later," I promised weakly as we resumed walking through the festival together. Each booth we passed brought laughter from other couples while mine faded into silence beneath layers of pretense. Moments later, amidst laughter and festivity surrounding us both, Mark texted, "Meet me at 5?" I glanced at my husband beside me who continued chatting animatedly about some local history related to the festival. The juxtaposition between our shared history and this burgeoning relationship made every moment feel like walking a tightrope over an abyss. As 5 o'clock approached, an internal battle raged within me. Should I seek out Mark or remain tethered to this life? Each tick of time felt like an echoing reminder that choices awaited just beyond reach, paths diverging not only for myself but also for those entwined within this web of relationships. "Do you want to grab dinner after this?" my husband asked casually while stopping at yet another booth selling handmade crafts. "Sure," I replied mechanically while glancing toward where Mark would be waiting, a decision looming larger than life itself. "Great. We can celebrate properly tonight," he smiled brightly without realizing how heavy each word felt against my heart. The sun began its descent towards twilight as vibrant colors painted the sky, a perfect backdrop for celebration yet underscoring everything unresolved within me. Finally breaking away from him under pretense of needing fresh air before dinner began weighing heavily upon us both, it took everything not to run toward Mark who awaited just beyond sightlines, tauntingly close yet eternally far away from grasping reality once more. I found him leaning casually against a lamppost near the cafe entrance, a familiar sight that ignited both longing and trepidation within seconds flat as our eyes met across crowded streets bustling alive with energy all around us, contrasting sharply against solitude growing louder in silence shared between us two alone. "Thanks for coming," Mark greeted warmly, but there was something serious lurking behind those words too, a gravity drawing closer, pulling taut threads binding decisions made inevitable no matter how much time spent avoiding them until now. "What did you want to talk about?" My voice trembled slightly despite efforts keeping composure intact even though heart raced wildly beneath surface calmness projected outwardly masked underneath practiced smiles worn thin lately. He took a deep breath before speaking again, carefully choosing words meant weighing heavily upon both our hearts intertwined so deeply entangled already struggling free just once more. "I've been offered a new job out west. It means relocating." His gaze held mine steady, searching for reactions hidden behind walls built strong over years, past experiences shared countless times before, now suddenly feeling fragile under pressure mounting high above us both, threatening collapse if not addressed soon enough. My breath caught momentarily as realization settled deep within. It wasn't merely about work, it represented everything else too. The future laid bare before eyes opened wide, seeking clarity amidst chaos swirling all around, unable escape anymore, without consequences awaiting inevitably ahead regardless choices made moving forward from here on out. "What does that mean for us?" My voice, barely above whisper, trembling ever so slightly, betraying emotions kept tightly bound until now threatening unleash fully if not careful, navigating waters treacherous ahead where paths diverged sharply once more, leading somewhere unknown altogether. Mark hesitated, visibly contemplating implications unfolding rapidly between us two only moments ago, drifting freely alongside laughter shared joyously, moments past slipping away quickly into shadows cast long behind, leaving echoes lingering still, haunting memories left unresolved hanging heavy above heads like clouds darkening skies, threatening storms brewing just beneath surface calmness displayed outwardly, masking turmoil raging underneath, waiting break free, finally demanding acknowledgement. Long overdue. The silence stretched between Mark and me, heavy with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. I could see the wheels turning in his mind, weighing his next words with the same gravity that settled over my heart. The truth hung in the air, palpable and thick, as if it were a storm cloud ready to burst. "What does that mean for us?" I asked again, my voice barely above a whisper. The tremor betrayed the emotions I had kept tightly bound until now. I was navigating waters treacherous ahead, where our paths diverged sharply once more. Mark hesitated visibly, contemplating the implications unfolding rapidly between us. Moments ago, we had drifted freely alongside laughter and shared joy. Now those moments slipped away quickly into shadows cast long behind us. Echoes of what could have been lingered still, haunting memories left unresolved and hanging heavy above our heads. I don't know, he finally admitted, his gaze dropping to the floor as if searching for answers in the polished wood beneath our feet. I have an opportunity to relocate for a new job. It's a big step. The words struck me like a cold wave crashing against rocks, unexpected and powerful. My heart raced at the thought of him leaving Charleston, leaving me behind in this tangled mess of emotions we had created together. You're considering moving? Just like that? It's not just about us, he replied, looking back up at me with an intensity that made my breath hitch. I've been thinking about my life, what I want from it. And honestly, I feel lost. His admission resonated deep within me, echoing my own struggles with feeling neglected and alone in my marriage. I recalled how my husband had seemed distant lately, wrapped up in his work while I floated through each day like a ghost haunting our home. Mark, I said softly, my husband has been feeling neglected too. The confession spilled out before I could stop it, the weight of honesty pressed down on me like an anchor pulling me deeper into uncertainty. What do you mean? Mark's brow furrowed as he processed my words. I think he senses something is off with us, I admitted. He's tried to reach out to me lately, asking if I'm happy. Are you? His question cut through the air between us like a knife. I paused, grappling with my own truth amid the chaos surrounding us. What did happiness even look like for me anymore? In moments of clarity amidst confusion, it felt as if I were standing on shifting sands. I don't know, I confessed at last, feeling vulnerable under his scrutiny. I used to think happiness was tied to stability, a comfortable life with someone who loves you. And now, he pressed gently. Now, it feels different, I said slowly. I crave something more, something real. The silence returned as we both considered what lay ahead for us both, the choices we had made and those still hanging before us like ripe fruit waiting to be plucked or left to rot on the vine. I can't make this decision for you, Mark said finally, breaking our shared moment of contemplation. But if you want to explore what we have, it can't happen while you're still tied down. His words hung heavily between us as if they were chains binding me tighter to my current life while simultaneously offering an escape route towards something unknown yet tantalizingly close. Just then, my phone buzzed insistently in my pocket, a reminder of reality intruding upon our fragile moment together. It was a message from my husband, "Can we talk when you get home?" My heart sank at the thought of facing him after everything that had transpired between Mark and me today, the weight of guilt pressing down harder than ever before. Jessica? Mark's voice broke through my thoughts again. Concern laced his tone as he searched my eyes for answers that eluded even me. I need to go home, I murmured finally. Resignation seeped into every syllable uttered aloud while panic bubbled beneath the surface threatening to spill over completely. Okay, he nodded slowly but didn't move closer despite wanting desperately for him to hold me one last time before stepping back into reality where everything felt uncertain once more. As I left Mark standing there amidst shadows cast by unfulfilled dreams and desires left unsaid behind closed doors, uncertainty loomed large ahead. Waiting patiently outside waiting room where decisions awaited their turn under scrutiny sharp enough slice through illusions built carefully over years spent living within confines made comfortable yet suffocating at times too. Arriving home felt surreal, each step echoing louder than normal against hardwood floors worn smooth by countless footsteps taken over years past spent together building lives intertwined yet fraying around edges now exposed raw wounds needing healing desperately but unsure how proceed forward, without causing further damage along way. My husband waited in the living room when I entered, a familiar sight yet somehow foreign too, given everything swirling inside, mind racing faster than heart beating wildly against ribs, trying escape cage built around it all these years. "Hey," he greeted cautiously, concern etched across features softened by years shared together even amidst struggles faced, a long path traveled thus far together hand in hand despite obstacles thrown our way unexpectedly, often testing resilience built slowly over time. "Hi," was all managed muster back, feeling hollow inside, knowing conversation looming ahead would change everything regardless outcome reached, ultimately decided upon eventually after weighing options carefully laid bare before both parties involved equally affected deeply by revelations surfacing now threatening unravel entire tapestry woven painstakingly throughout lives lived side by side until present moment arrived suddenly unannounced, catching everyone off guard, completely unaware. Consequences awaiting just beyond horizon, barely visible yet looming large nonetheless, casting long shadows across future paths chosen henceforth thereafter. "Can we talk?" he asked again, breaking silence stretching taut between two hearts beating wildly beneath layers hidden beneath surface, calm exterior displayed outwardly masking turmoil raging underneath, waiting break free, finally demanding acknowledgement long overdue. The salty breeze brushed against my skin as I stood at the water's edge, waves lapping at my feet. The ocean stretched endlessly before me, a vast expanse of blue that mirrored the turmoil within. I had come here seeking clarity, a moment to breathe away from the noise of my life, but instead, I found myself overwhelmed by the weight of my decisions. Mark's words echoed in my mind. "Can we talk?" The urgency in his voice had stirred something deep inside me. I had never expected our conversation would lead to such profound revelations about our lives and desires. He was considering leaving for a new job, and my husband had opened up about his feelings of neglect. Each confession tugged at different parts of my heart, pulling me in conflicting directions. As I stared out at the horizon, I felt a familiar presence beside me. It was Lisa, an old friend from college who had once been a guiding light during turbulent times. She approached with her usual warmth, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Jessica, what brings you here?" I turned to her, forcing a smile despite the chaos swirling inside me. "Just needed some time to think." "Thinking is good," she replied, her tone gentle yet probing. "But sometimes it's hard to see clearly when you're too close to the situation." Her words struck a chord. I hadn't been honest with myself about what I truly wanted or who I wanted to be. The thrill of my affair with Mark had pulled me into an exhilarating whirlwind, yet it also left behind a trail of guilt and confusion. "Things have been complicated," I admitted, glancing back at the waves crashing rhythmically against the shore. "Complicated how?" Lisa pressed gently. I hesitated but felt an urge to share more than just surface-level thoughts. "I've been caught between two worlds, my marriage and this connection with someone else." Lisa nodded knowingly, her expression softening as if she understood the weight of such choices all too well. "Love can be messy," she said softly. "But you have to choose what's best for you." Her comment lingered in the air like the scent of salt water mingling with blooming magnolias nearby. What did it mean to choose what was best for myself? Did that mean pursuing passion with Mark or returning to the stability of my marriage? As if sensing my internal struggle, Lisa continued, "Sometimes we lose sight of ourselves while trying to please others." The truth in her statement cut deep, it resonated with every fiber of my being. Had I lost myself in trying to maintain harmony in my marriage? Had I sought excitement outside simply because it was easier than confronting what lay within? We walked along the shore together as she shared stories from her own life, her struggles and triumphs, and each word seemed to peel back layers that had formed around my heart over time. Then came a moment that shifted everything again. Lisa paused and looked directly into my eyes. "You deserve happiness too, Jessica," she said firmly. "Don't let fear dictate your choices." Fear, what a powerful force it was in our lives. Fear held me back from embracing both love and loss fully. Fear kept me tethered to safety while yearning for something more vibrant and alive. Suddenly, an unexpected wave crashed against us, soaking our feet and jolting us from our introspection. We both laughed as we stepped back from the water's edge, a reminder that life could be unpredictable. But then Lisa turned serious again, her voice steady yet compassionate as she added one last piece of advice. Whatever you decide will shape not only your future but also those around you. Her words hung heavily between us as I processed their implications. No matter which path I chose, whether it led back home or towards Mark, it would ripple through everyone involved. As we parted ways after our walk along the beach, something inside me shifted once more. Clarity began creeping in, but not without its shadows lurking nearby. Standing alone again at the water's edge moments later, waves crashed rhythmically against rocks beneath me, a constant reminder that change was inevitable like tides ebbing and flowing over time. And just when I thought I might finally be ready to decide what lay ahead for me, my phone buzzed insistently in my pocket, an unexpected interruption breaking through this moment of reflection. With trepidation gripping me tightly once more, I pulled it out only to see Mark's name flashing on the screen. Taking a deep breath filled with mixed emotions, anticipation mingled with anxiety, I answered without thinking twice. "Hello? Jessica," he started before pausing as if searching for words that would carry weight beyond mere conversation. "I'm here," I replied softly but firmly. Whatever he needed to say felt monumental enough already without any further embellishment required on either side. "I need you to meet me tonight," he urged urgently through the phone line, a plea wrapped tightly in desperation tinged by hopefulness beneath its surface layer. A sudden chill washed over me despite standing under warm sunlight illuminating everything around us. The ocean sparkled invitingly while shadows loomed larger than ever before, with every ounce of courage gathering within like storm clouds overhead readying themselves for release soon enough. I whispered back into silence waiting on other end, "Okay." What awaited me tonight could change everything once again. Consequences loomed large ahead like darkened skies threatening rain upon shores long untroubled before now.